Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, we're talking with one of our Activate students. She's going to share with us how she more than doubled her income in the past 90 days. And holy crap, she's been asked to speak on stage in front of 18,000 people. She's like taking off, and it's so exciting to see. So, Danny is a productivity expert for mompreneurs. And so, we'll be talking about some of the major mindset shifts that she went through to help her have this like explosive breakthrough in her business. And also, we're going to talk productivity too, because that's her jam. So, talk to us first. Why did you join Activate?
Yes. I have always kind of had this thing in the back of my head, like I am made for more. I know there's more out there for me. I actually found you, Rachel, probably, gosh, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, maybe less.
Yeah.
through your Pin with Purpose course. So I've always been very just like interested in figuring out what was out there for me, what was more. And then I kind of found you. I was very interested, listened to your podcast. And yeah, I just kind of fell into your loop there and got really interested, had that meeting with you, connected with you, asked you if I was a good fit. And yeah, here I am. So, I mean, the interesting thing is I had no idea I'd be here, like where I'm at now, but I'm so happy that I found this, and the journey has been amazing. So yeah, that's how I found you.
Incredible. So, I think you had some hesitation when you were signing up because you were just in network marketing and you didn't have a
Mhm.
business yet. Can you talk about that?
I actually had left my career, which I worked for Starbucks for 12 years. I'd been in management for 16, so I'd always kind of been like a leader and always, not to toot my own horn, but always like really good at the top of what I did. So when I left my career and I started doing my own business, it was a struggle for me to not immediately succeed.
Mhm.
So when I had that call with you and I told you, I remember telling you, I'm working really hard and like I know I'm better than this and I want to see results. And, that's when you just talk to me until you look like, it's normal and this is really going to help you. And man, like Activate is so packed with like everything, everything growth wise, which has been phenomenal. um, I naturally kind of just moved towards like the mindset thing
Mhm.
in the last 90 days, which is where I kind of exploded. It was weird too, because when I started getting into that mindset thing, I didn't even really recognize what I was working on.
Yeah.
It sounds really weird, right? Because I have always been like this very positive person, still am, and been recognized as that from a lot of people in my life. Danny's this person we go to, like we need ideas, or, if we're feeling like we're struggling here or there. So mindset wasn't something that I really thought I had an opportunity with.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the thing is I realized that mindset wasn't necessarily or have anything to do with actually like the person that you are. It doesn't mean you're not a positive minded person. It just means really like discovering these things that we're telling ourselves inside.
Mhm.
So that's really where I started to connect with like, okay, so this doesn't mean like I'm a bad person or that I'm not, great at these things. It just means we really need to dig deeper into what is causing me to not be successful. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, I mean, the boutique itself, I had been doing actually for a total of 3 years. It's a little over 3 years now. The last year, like I said, is when I left my career and, sorry, my dog. I left my career and was doing well, but not as well as I wanted to until I uncovered a lot of what was blocking me. So,
When
sorry,
was
we're going
that
to ask.
moment? Yeah, when was that moment? Was it like a call that we were doing or a book that you were reading? What
So,
happened?
um, I guess I'll just kind of tell you how I got here because if I could tell you exactly the moment, I probably couldn't figure it out. But
Yeah.
with the podcast, the books, the meditations, like all the things you were, giving us, I think that's what makes it really special is because we are all in very different places that we kind of absorb and take what we need, whether we
Mhm.
realize we're doing that or not. And that's kind of how I fell into that mindset thing. So with all those recommendations, I have really, I feel like, changed with like podcasts and meditation. has really been huge for me. Honestly, because I mean, I walk around telling people all the time that they're struggling with any sort of thing in their life, like, you need to meditate. And they look at me like, what? Like, that's a real thing? I'm like, I'm serious. Like, it will change your life. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or like the one that you told us recently, the money mindset one,
Yeah.
has just completely blown my mind. I've done that one at least 14 times.
Yeah.
And every time it's like you come out of it feeling like you are like in a different place. So yeah, I would say it was definitely a mix of podcasts and meditations for me. I call that kind of like my magic potion. And I think that's super duper important because everyone's magic potion is a little bit different.
Yep.
And you really have to just run with what works for you. So with that, I mean, I've really grown so much by recognizing the sabotaging statements.
Talk to us about those.
That is really what has changed my life. And it's, the things that you don't realize you're saying. And so and that's where meditation comes in. You hear yourself saying these things to yourself. Like, some of the big things I was saying is in my boutique business, I'll never be as good as those girls with the 60K followers. I'm never going to catch up to them. This just isn't for me. What am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. Or even better, something that we brought up just the other day, which was Facebook, right? And I think we all do it. Like, Facebook sucks. Facebook sucks. Facebook is this, or like, it's not showing your, posts to clients and, this and that. So I think it's okay to like recognize that and accept it and not say, oh, like, I'm this horrible person because I'm blaming, but really more so like zeroing in on, instead of blaming that, what can I do differently? What can I do instead? And I know you say this a lot, but like that part has really, really, really resonated with me.
Yep.
And I just don't dwell on the things that are not serving me. So doesn't mean I don't have the feelings or, or the thoughts cross my mind, but it's the second that they do, I ask myself, is this the truth? Right? So that's another thing we've been talking about a lot. Is this the truth? And what can I do to prove that it's not? So I actually have a really funny story that happened to me the other day. And I realized that I had this like, wow, like my mind is in a completely different place. So the example I'll share is like not really necessarily business related, but I'm just going to throw it out there because I think it's so powerful. I was at the dog park the other day with my fiance, right? And of course, we're all wearing masks. But we got into the park. We're here in Florida. It's like very hot, very hot and sweaty. So we both were like, let's take our mask off for a second. Literally, no one was in the park. No one. So we take this off. This lady walks into the park, right? Across, like way far away, walks in there, looks around with her dog, and then like leaves immediately. And so I caught myself in my head saying, oh, she just doesn't want to be here because I don't have a mask on. And the interesting thing about this was, as soon as I recognized that, I asked myself, what's the truth? Like, what's the story I'm telling myself? I'm kind of like protecting myself from feeling like I'm the problem, right? And I looked over to the dog park right next door, and that's where she went. And it was full of people with no masks, unfortunately. But I mean, right there in that moment, I realized I am immediately like listening to my thoughts and trying to find the truth to things. And the even more powerful thing about it was the second that it happened and I had already corrected the thought that it had nothing to do with me, my fiance said the same thing. He said, what, did she leave because we had no mask on? And I said, oh my gosh. So I literally told him that story and I said, isn't it crazy the stories we tell ourselves? So the same thing happens with business. And that in that moment, I was sure that like mindset was something that I was onto. So I know it's not really business related, but
no, but I think it's so powerful that the work that we've been doing, I just want you to understand this has impacted your business, but it's impacted your personal life, how you relate to other people, and it's impacting your significant other too.
Yep.
And because you're able to share with him like what it is that you're learning and how you're growing. Holy crap. That's so.
I mean, he literally said to me, he's like, I said, you want to know something? I want to tell you this. Before I tell you what I'm about to say, I said the exact same thing, the exact thought just came to my mind. And I want to explain to you what happens. And I told him we are naturally protecting ourselves from being the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what we do even as business owners, unfortunately. It's like we get a little scared and we push back. Or just like I told you, I shared the statement about how I'm not good enough. Instead, what can I do? So like if I'm thinking like I'm not good enough, I'm not going to be I'll never have those 60K followers, but then I say, hey, wait a minute. Like I just left my job a year ago and I have over 1,000 new followers that I didn't beg to be in my group. They found me, they came, and they come here and they shop with me because I'm doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really just about that. It's like just taking that, like you teach us, right? Taking that statement that's not true and asking what is true.
Yeah.
But now it's so immediate for me that I have the opportunity to just spend that much less time in the stuff that's not serving me. So yeah, it's super duper powerful. Very, very powerful. I'm
Incredible.
happy.
So, yeah, so your network marketing company actually reached out to you. What did they say?
Yeah. So they actually called me once and they were like, hey, like, you totally jumped like 2 sales tiers, like, congratulations. Like, kind of like initially like a congratulations call. And then they asked me like how I did it. So just naturally, I was talking to them about, all the things I was doing in my business. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to stop there for a second because I'm going to tell you a couple things. Like, it's definitely mindset, huge, huge mindset thing. I said, but it's also that I'm a time management productivity coach and I've applied like my principles to my business. I'm actually
Mhm.
helping other people do it too. And they were like, oh, that's cool. So like they kind of listened, right? And then like 2 days later, they called back and were like, hey, so like you're a time management productivity coach and this is like how you've doubled your sales. And like, so yeah, it's pretty cool. So they've asked me to speak in front of those 18,000 people, obviously during quarantine, or not quarantine but corona, we're not going to be like in person, but there's a lot of different training things going on through Zoom, and obviously there'll be a shared training and sent out by email and stuff like that. So it's very, very exciting, because I've had that breakthrough and because I'll have the opportunity to obviously impact all of these mompreneur lives. And I swear, it's like, what is that? You said it the other day, I think, or maybe somebody else that was doing a show. It was like, when you are focused on something, like you'll start to see it everywhere.
Yes, it's the reticular activating system, the part of your brain. It's like when you are shopping for a car. So, like, we're shopping for a Hyundai Elantra. It's like
Hmm.
all of a sudden we see Hyundai Elantras everywhere.
Hey, I have one.
See?
Yeah, you
But
see.
it's like your brain just subconsciously starts to focus on it. And
Hmm.
so, what have you been focused on lately? And how has that shifted your reality?
I mean, a lot of stuff, but the reason I brought that up was because I was
Yeah.
like, this is another thing that's helping me see like how many people I can actually impact, right? Because now whenever I'm in my, I'm still in this network marketing business, and obviously I'm in like a ton of groups, right? With tons of consultants and things like that. And like all of a sudden, all I see in the feed is, does anybody else here feel overwhelmed? Like I'm in the weeds, I can't get everything organized. And I'm like, holy, it's like this like sign from the universe, like, hey, like you need to get your message out to as many people as possible because like they need help.
They need
And yeah,
you.
they
Yeah.
do.
So,
They
talk
really
to
need
us
it.
time management
Mhm.
right now, when life is so crazy. So a lot of us are dealing with newer challenges. Like I have
Mhm.
TJ, you just saw him. He's here. It's Friday morning, and he's not at school. He's doing virtual school. So how can we create like routines and be productive when life is so crazy?
Yeah, so I love the way you said routines because a lot of people avoid that word. They like routines. Ugh, that sounds gross. But definitely, okay. So I actually help mompreneurs with it's. I try to make it simple, right? It's called the POP method.
Mhm,
It's really just prioritizing, organizing, and planning. So when you
mhm.
say the words itself, it seems very simple, but there's this really big picture out there. Um, So, as far as giving them tips, again, it's a process. But if I can tell you, you have to get really clear on your priorities, right? Because we can be busy, 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 like we're all busy. But productivity is not being busy. So, busy does not equal productivity.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
it's about, focusing on the right things in the right order in the most efficient manner.
Mhm.
So, it is absolutely about building routines that work for you. So just really crushing it at building yourself a morning routine that fulfills you, has been another really big piece of what's helped me. I mentioned the
Mhm.
meditation. That's something that I do every single morning. Like,
Mhm.
no ifs, ands, or buts. I do it every single morning. And it's just really transformed me. But that's because I recognized that that was something that was helping me grow. So I would encourage everyone to really find that thing that helps them not only grow, but feel better. Um,
Mhm.
and then also fit in those things that they love to do, right? So everybody says they don't have time for those things, but those are the things that need to go first. So that's a big.
Yes. I know John Maxwell does this. He has like a whole calendar for the year and he sits down in December to look at the next year. And
Mhm.
his family goes on the calendar first before his business stuff. And
Yep.
I love that. He could be the busiest man. He's in his 70s now. He is so inspiring with everything that he's done. But he just sets the intention of my family needs to go on my calendar before all my business activities do. And I love that you
Yep.
said that. Because if you're not careful, it's like the business completely take over and like
And
run
it
the
will.
show. It will if you're not like intentional about carving out that time. So I'll give an example. Like this is my only thing that I'm doing today is me, you, like we're connecting here. We're able to show up and add value. The rest of the day, it's my friend's birthday. So we're going out to lunch. We're drinking champagne. We're going to make ravioli from scratch. I don't know what else
Woohoo.
we're gonna do. Maybe we'll swim. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like it was on my calendar and it was
Hmm.
like, all right, Vanessa's gonna be here. I want to make sure I'm prioritizing her and our friendship and like, having that be the first thing. And this is like the only thing I'm doing for the day, then we play.
Yep. And that's absolutely it. And I think that's what blows people's mind when I first like start to work with them is I literally tell them, okay, like, what do you want to do for
Mhm.
yourself, for your family? What do you want to do? And they're like literally like looking at me like I don't have time for that. And I'm like, but that's because we're gonna make the time for it. And it comes first. So
Yep.
yep, that is definitely absolutely you have to prioritize that. Yep.
Okay, so we prioritize the things that are important.
Hmm.
We create routines. We have a morning routine. What else can we do? Especially if we have like a routine or we have like our agenda for the day, but then something happens, like the
Yeah.
unexpected, which happens all the time now.
So, I tell people this all the time is like there is no magic wand, right? You have to give yourself grace. But I think
Mhm.
that's the beautiful thing about having these routines and having your solid plan in place um, is that you're able to move the pieces more easily. If you
Yeah.
can see the big picture, you can say, hey, like, okay, this didn't happen right here, and that's okay because I have, well, I guess I should be more clear with me personally. I teach my clients to leave wiggle room in every single day. You
Mhm.
literally cannot plan your entire day and expect it to go perfectly because it will not. It
No.
like never will.
Mm-mm.
So, I help them discover what times are best for them
Mhm.
because again everybody's life is different. I encourage people to take like the same days off, but that doesn't work for everybody. So it's really about, like you gave the example of John Maxwell, like looking at your calendar and being intentional. It's the same thing when you plan like your weeks and your days too. You have to be super duper intentional about that and just
Mhm.
understand that things are going to happen. And then you have like your kind of flex time built into either your days or your weeks. So you can pick certain days where, hey, like I'm not going to really schedule things on this day. This is going to be my, oh, shoot, like this got messed up over here. Now let's move it
Mhm.
over there. You literally can't schedule all your work time. You just
Yeah,
can't.
if you have it like 8 to 5 where it's like packed, oh my gosh, that would never
Yep.
happen. I know
Hmm.
with flex time, that looks different for everybody. Typically for me, I take Fridays off most of the time, and I actually
Yeah.
have like Mondays and Fridays, or I don't have appointments or anything on those days.
Hmm.
But everyone's different. So find something that works for you. I know my mentor, she usually takes the last week of the month off. And that's like her flex or whatever. She actually calls it flex time, which is funny.
Yeah.
But have just know like what works for you, I think is
Yep.
key.
For
Um,
sure.
what is your definition of productivity?
So I did say it earlier, but basically doing the things that need to get done
Mhm.
in the right order and within the most efficient way. So when I say need, that's really getting clear on your priorities. And that can be hard at first, but really it's just getting them all in front of you to decide what are the priorities. And then to figure out what are the priorities, you have to ask yourself what are those things that are going to move the needle in your business as
Mhm.
well as bring you a fulfilled and happy life.
Mhm.
So it's really about prioritizing the things that matter.
For sure. I love that. Any tools or resources that you use or would recommend?
Oh yeah, I love tools.
Hmm.
So I love to create them too. I'm like this crazy tech person that it's very hard for me to find people that like tie in with me. Although Helen, every time
Helen's
I connect with
amazing.
Helen, we're just like, oh my god, we are like the same people. We love to build tools. So I have actually my own workbook that I created. It's like a weekly planner,
Cool.
um, and it helps me to not have to spend so much time on the actual like daily routines because they're already kind of like built in there. And then I have like space where I'm able to write in things that change with the weeks and things like that. But as far as tools that are out there and like already built and not exactly mine, I use Trello
Okay.
and Google Calendar. Those things are like my BFFs. And Trello is because of you, by the way.
Yay.
I heard of Trello, but like I didn't really like use it enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have not only used Trello for my coaching business, my personal life, and then I also have a separate team board that I use
Nice.
for my boutique because I now have assistants. Yay!
Yay. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And I love
Yep.
Google Calendar too. I like live by Google
Yep.
Calendar. Like
I
I
that's
couldn't
I
live
was
without
Me
it.
neither. It's like so hard for me to understand. Like I'm like, how do I get through to these people that don't use Google Calendar? Because it's like a time saver, like especially with revolving events. That right there is what has me sold. It's like, things that perfect example, things like bookkeeping that quite honestly, most people like I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of entrepreneurs like just don't do because they don't want to look at the numbers.
Yep.
Things like that. Like, why would you have to think about every month? Like, when am I going to do that? So for me, I teach people to like grab things like that and put them on the Google Calendar. Like for me, my admin days are Saturdays. I work Saturdays because I like to work Saturdays, but just as an example, grab the things that you often forget. And then also, of course, all the things you don't, and just have them in that revolving calendar so you don't have to redo it.
For
Love,
sure.
love, love.
Cool. What's one of the best books you've read?
You're a badass at making money.
Yes. Game changer, right?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And that thing definitely changed. I think that's where I recognized mindset without realizing, and then just kind of like went from there and just kind of like shifted into this big deep dive into mindset. But yeah, absolutely. That one by Jen Sincero is amazing.
Amazing. I'll add a book recommendation because we're talking about intentional, like being intentional, and John Maxwell. So Intentional Living by John Maxwell is an incredible book that I highly recommend
Cool.
if you haven't read it yet.
I haven't.
Cool. Well, what is it? Read it, add it to your list. That's
Yep.
coming next. What does it mean to you to make an impact?
Just, being able to see people light up when they realize
Mhm.
that, overwhelm is not something they have to deal with. And really just seeing that light bulb go off, because I've had that with many clients already, is just like, holy cow. Like, I didn't know this type of life existed. And I have people reaching out to me all the time, like, no, really, like, I really need to just remind you that you have changed my life. So I think just giving back, the life that people dream of when they start a business, which is to have more time for their family and themselves and not to be overwhelmed and to have the freedom. So just really seeing that light bulb go off and being able to give people back time with their family.
That's huge.
Hmm.
Amazing. Where can we connect with you?
So I am by Danny Thompson everywhere. So my website is by Danny Thompson. I think my name is probably up there somewhere, but my last name is with no P. So just in case, but by DannyThompson.com. I am by Danny Thompson on Instagram and at by Danny Thompson on Facebook. Made it easy.
Amazing. Cool. So we talked about Activate today. If you want to apply for Activate, we are currently accepting applications. So just go to rachelandgom.com/activate. Danny, I'm so proud of you and how far
Thanks.
you've come in such a short amount of time and the impact that you're going to be creating. Oh my gosh, like it's massive. And I can't wait to see you just continue to grow and to share your genius with the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Yep.